today's episode, I'm speaking with Nathalie Nui, founder of Dress Art. In a world where fast fashion dominates headlines of runways, today's guest is proving there's a better way forward. Through innovative technology, Dress Art is making tailored fashion accessible to people worldwide, while tackling one of the industry's biggest challenges, waste. What's particularly fascinating is how she's managed to digitize that traditionally hands-on process of tailoring without losing the artisanal touch that makes custom clothing so special. Nathalie's journey recently caught the attention of the United Nations, with Dress Art being named their Fashion and Lifestyle Network. Today, we'll explore how passion for sustainable fashion is growing into a global business that's changing how we think about our wardrobes. From navigating the challenges of starting a fashion tech company to reimagining the future of sustainable style, we'll hear the remarkable story of how Dress Art is reshaping the fashion industry, one garment at a time. Nathalie, thank you for joining me. Thank you for saying yes to being a guest on Productive Passions. How are you doing?
Yeah, everything is fine. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. We're here today to talk about what you're doing and how you got here, a bit about your journey. So can you tell me, what is it that you do? What's the name of your organization? And well, let's start there. I'd like to know a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Nathalie and I run Dress Art Paris, which is world first sustainable online atelier. So basically we redefine luxury fashion by offering bespoke, made-to-measure, highly personalized shopping experience to people across the globe. Blending craftsmanship, sustainability, and innovation in one place. So, to cut a long story short, making tailoring service more affordable and accessible for people around the world.
When I saw a little bit about what you were doing, I thought, there's no way I could afford that. But part of what is important to you is making it more affordable. So how is what you're doing, what makes your approach unique in today's fashion landscape?
Yeah, sure. So, like I mentioned, Dress Art is a digital online atelier, and that helps us cut unnecessary costs related to running a showroom, related to unnecessary waste, to be honest, in general, and to give, the society the service they desire. Instead of investing elsewhere, we put everything we can into the product itself, sourcing the best fabrics possible. So we work with luxurious surplus fabrics, the designer fabrics. So we do not order any new materials for our collections or bespoke garments. We basically use whatever exists already and repurpose these fabrics into one-of-a-kind items. So making it, quite interesting, because on the one hand, you have a very luxurious product, such as custom-made one-of-a-kind suit or dress or wedding dress. We, design various outfits. And then you also have amazing fabrics. But the thing is that we function online without running any showrooms, allows us to offer the service that is quite affordable compared to traditional tailoring business, where you would see a traditional markup, making it really exclusive and making a lot of people believe that it's unattainable. There is no way people could afford it. And, I really do my best and try to educate consumers that actually it is one of the, I would say, one of the best ways to get clothes that are truly personal to you, but that are also sustainable. So yeah, and in the end, it's more accessible to people across the globe.
So you talked about a lot of things there. I want to ask about the designer fabrics. Where do you get those? How did you learn about and I don't mean to sound disrespectful at all, but sort of leftover fabrics, because you're not ordering new fabric from a fabric store down the road. You're taking advantage of the leftovers of the scraps of designers. Other designers? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
How did you learn about that?
Well, that's a good personal story. I should probably jump on that as well. So, my mom is a dressmaker, and she's been doing one-of-a-kind items for more than 20 years. So, I've been literally, so I've grown up designing my own clothes. And, I got all this knowledge just, firsthand, sitting in the atelier, speaking to many women she created the garments for. And I knew that there are a lot of fabrics already created. Not a lot of people are familiar when they start launching their brands. Everybody wants to create something new, thinking that, they wouldn't find good quality fabrics anywhere, which is not true because a lot of fabrics already exist. We just need to know where to source them. And so in my case, I visited a lot of warehouses, factories, fabric mills before launching Dress Art. I went to Italy, France. Well, I was living in Paris back then, so that was quite easy to travel. I met with a lot of suppliers, and, through these connections as well, like I took it really slowly, trying to find the best supplies possible. And yeah, this is how the idea to repurpose these fabrics were born. A lot of suppliers back then were a little bit intimidated as well, saying that it's not possible for you to create any collections. But like, that's not my goal, I don't want to create any collections. I literally want to buy these 3 meters of, the fabrics that you have, and I will simply create a dress or a jacket for the client of mine.
What was their reaction when you came in, when you went into a supplier and said, no, I don't want to buy 100 meters of that. I just want 3. Yeah. What was their reaction to you and your idea?
So up to these days, a lot of suppliers don't work the way I would love them to work. And I still don't have access to, a big number of fabrics I would love to have access to. So, but we work with what is available. So, of course, we cannot, and we don't want to design any new fabrics. Like I mentioned, there's already a lot of options. There are a lot of options that exist. So they were surprised at the very beginning, thinking that I want to create clothes for myself only. But then I mentioned that I actually know I'm buying this for my clients, and this is how we started. To be completely honest, I designed my own website to test the idea with the friends, with the colleagues, and I literally bought all these fabrics on demand. So that was very, very interesting experience. That was shocking to some, but in the end, we managed to find the right suppliers and who were just willing to collaborate.
Well, was it shocking because they thought you were taking a risk that maybe you shouldn't be taking?
Maybe. There is when something doesn't exist, you will face a lot of, assumptions, misconceptions, things like that. A lot of people will try to tell you that will never work. And yeah, but,
So that's a question I usually ask a little bit later on, but since you brought it up, let's talk about that for a minute. When you started having people question you and maybe doubt you and maybe even tell you this isn't a good idea, how did you overcome that? Because the doubt has to start creeping in a little bit. Like maybe I should be going in a different direction.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. So when I first started, I still had a corporate job, and that was like my hobby, my part-time idea. I didn't really care too much if it's gonna work or not. And like I said, well, at least I try, I couldn't find clothes anywhere. Um, I was struggling to find a very good tailoring service. Every time I wanted to design something apart from being, helped by my mom, I got a lot of challenges. The location was not near my house. I had to travel across the city for multiple fittings, which didn't really work for me because being a young professional, traveling, having international career, you just don't have this luxury of, spending hours um, doing fittings at a tailor. And then, I didn't have time to select the fabrics either. And I really appreciated having this advice and styling advice when you design anything. And I didn't see that anywhere. So I was thinking, well, if I need that, so maybe there are other people who would appreciate this service as well. So like I mentioned, I didn't take a lot of financial risks. I designed my own website, spoke to my colleagues, friends, and showing the clothes that I designed, asking them if they, what were their thoughts basically. And some of them starting to asking where they could get the same clothes or how they could design the dresses or jackets. And yeah, then I did it for when I was sure that the idea is interesting, not only to me, but to other people as well. This is where I decided then, okay, that's probably the right time to move forward. But I have this, definitely I had these doubts. Well, up to these days, you have these moments in your career, and when you run your business, every now and then you start questioning if you are doing the right thing. But I think, well, you should always understand what is your why. Why are you doing this? And if you manage to connect the dots, if you manage to find the answer, it shouldn't be too much. You shouldn't be worried too much.
It makes a lot of sense. So really, you were brought up in the industry. Your mom was creating dresses for other people. And then you said you were talking a lot with the women who would come in. What were you learning from them? What were they telling you? And what were you asking them?
So for me, that was very interesting to have their feedback on the items that were created, especially for them. This is where I actually understood how important it is to feel confident in the clothes you wear. And that's why it didn't really make sense for me to study fashion back then. I absolutely had no desire to, to pursue this traditional path of a fashion designer, because I simply could not understand how you can create collections, seeing how many women out there have their own, vision, the choices of fabrics. I say it's impossible to create one collection that would cater to so many women out there. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to create any waste in the industry trying to guess what people actually need. And yeah, so that was I would say that was my idea initially, not to go into fashion business at all.
How do you work with, say, women like me who were not brought up in the fashion industry and don't really know how to choose what would look best on themselves? How do you work with them to choose? Because you are online. Tell me a little bit about the technology you use and the education you do to help women find what will work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we decided to do in the first place is to have a communication with everybody coming to the website. Obviously, it depends if you prefer to jump on a call or set up a WhatsApp call. It really depends on your, schedule as well. But we wanted to bring as much personal experience as possible, even being an online service. So we would ask about your preferences, and having this experience, knowing the fabrics, we would then be able to advise you on the right options. So each design starts with a sketch where we would visualize the idea of the garment that we will be creating, and then knowing what works best in terms of fabrics, we would send you the pictures, the videos. But what we also decided to do is to go even further by implementing 3D design, where you would see how the item would actually look in real life. And you would see all this draping, and then the 3D model will be walking. So you will see how the fabric flows. It's very entertaining and fun experience. Then we were also able to bring this 3D design into AR, where you would, take your phone, then scan the QR code, and you will see the dress in your room. And you will be able to rotate it and to see the design. So that was very, very interesting. And especially to me, coming from a tech background as well, I'm very curious about all tech things, and especially that help us, solve this issue that a lot of people have, not being able to visualize the item. So this is how we decided to do that. And of course, there is a lot of education going into each design. And we decided to launch magazine online on our website, where we give styling advice. I run my own YouTube channel where I, go even further into styling, helping people to embrace their unique body features, facial features, because in the end, we want you to feel confident in the clothes you design with us. And, the idea of helping women embrace their uniqueness is something that I advocate a lot. I don't really like the idea of offering a limited number of sizes that are only available online. I really love giving this opportunity to design an item that would fit perfectly. And by the way, the fit was one of concerns, I would say, that people have, because obviously you don't have this you don't have this in-person fittings when you design your clothes online. Yeah. So what we decided to do, we actually implemented a mock-up model where we would send you a mock-up item. That could be the dress, the pants that you're ordering, or a jacket, and you would try it on at home. The item would be made from a leftover fabric, very close to to the fill, to the one we will be using for the final item. But that will give you the fill. It's very, something that is used in couture houses. It's called toile. This is what used by the designers before the final garments are produced. The main purpose is for you to test the fit, to see if the 3D model is what you imagine. So basically it helps to close the gap between the digital and physical fitting as well.
I think the other thing it sounds like that would do is, to your point earlier, help people who have a hard time visualizing. Like I see it on the website, but I still don't have an idea of how that's going to fit. So that really would solve that. How scalable is this? I mean, this sounds like I would love to have this kind of individualized attention and tailoring for a beautiful piece that I could have. And if 100 of my friends said, I want to do this, I want to be able to have something personal. How are you able to do that?
So our idea was to minimize carbon emissions as much as possible from the very beginning. And that's why we decided to partner with with artisans that are located across the world. So we would basically try to match you with the right tailor, with the right dressmaker who lives near you to offer this service. So The majority of our items and today are produced in Italy. But like I mentioned, we try to expand our network of tailors and dressmakers to bring this service closer to where our customers live. So this is something that could be scalable. And we offer to B2B services where our expertise goes into helping young and emerging designers creating their collections. What we see in the industry is that whenever you want to launch a fashion line, you will have to respect a certain minimum quantity order that starts from 50 items, but normally it's more than that. It's 100, 200, which is a really big investment for anybody who wants to launch a business. And we understand that, and we are able to offer very reasonable minimum order quantity for anybody who wants to launch the business. So this is what we implemented a couple of years ago when we saw that there is a gap in the market as well, and designers started to reach out. And yeah, so this is something that we work on as well.
So Nathalie, if somebody's listening who is a designer in their community and they say, I want to be a part of that, is that something they could reach out to you and learn more about? Is that how you're reducing that carbon footprint so that things are coming from Italy to me, I live in Florida in the United States, so they're coming from Orlando or Miami or somewhere closer to me?
Yes, well, in ideal world, that would be it. But of course, we're very limited now when it comes to the expertise and fabric. So we have this supply chain in place where we would try to respect, different aspects where the fabrics are coming from, where we have expertise for producing particular items. So ideally, we want clothes to be made in the same country where the customers are located. But in the real world, we still have to work on that. When it comes to launching the collections for young designers, absolutely, this is something that we can help with. So we provide consulting services if we are not able to, find and match you with the right factory. At least we will be able to guide you to help you avoid the mistakes that you would possibly, face when you just launching your own business, because we've been through that and we want to share this experience.
You've managed to blend traditional tailoring with modern technology. How did you develop this digital meets artisan approach? And you talked about it a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about how you put those two together.
Well, to me, I think that just because I was coming from tech background, I really was passionate about new tech things. And that was just my curiosity, I think. This is how we all decided to move to digital space, especially, well, we started in 2019 and, 2020, this is where we faced COVID. So that was a very challenging period for everybody. And a lot of things were shifting online. And this is where when I came across digital solutions of how to design 3D items, how to make, this process more entertaining and accessible. So I thought that might be interesting. Well, I was interested in that. I thought that's something that didn't exist and it's so much fun. So that was really a curiosity.
What's interesting is you take it, what I'm understanding, you take what's typically a passive activity, other than going to the store and buying what you're going to buy, you're actually involving the client from the very beginning. And I don't want to say gamifying it, but it's a more exciting, involved process for the client. Is that where your technology background comes into play here?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. But also, my desire to help people love their clothes, because we live in the world where there is a lot of fast fashion brands and people treat clothes like one-time use. And to me, that was surprising just because I was growing in, in the atelier, literally surrounded by dressmakers. And a lot of women I saw created the clothes and they would wear them for many years to come. And I really wanted to recreate this experience. I didn't want people to wear the item once and then to throw them away. And I felt that if you involve people into this design process, there is this special connection. It's like you are creating things yourself and you will not treat it like one time thing and just dispose it quickly. And, technology, they literally help us do that. They help make this process smooth and also entertaining. And you see, a lot of people these days appreciate when brands support sustainability, offer these eco-friendly products, but they don't want necessarily to pay a lot of money for this experience. And they also want to, to get, I would say, luxury experience at the same time instead of just purchasing clothes. You really want to have something unique that is made for you. You want to have this special attention. And yeah, I personally love it. Like I said, I'm a big advocate in the first place for everything that's made to order, made to measure. It's such a nice way to reduce waste in the industry. And yeah.
If you've thought about it in this way before, but as you're talking, I'm thinking what you're doing is also creating a return on investment for your clients. So they are investing in these clothes, but they're also investing their time and maybe their curiosity and their maybe creativity, so that who would want to wear something that you created just once? You want to show that. You want to feel that luxury that you've created.
Absolutely. And the funny thing that we see, especially with bridal wear, a lot of, well, it's common knowledge, right? That wedding dresses, just the least sustainable items you can think about. It's worn only once. But what we do, we actually try to bring this idea that you can design clothes that can be worn more than once. For example, for my wedding ceremony, I designed a 3-piece outfit that was tweed jacket that featured luxurious lace. But these jackets, I'm still wearing it up to these days, multiple occasions. Then I had tweed pants that was just paired with this jacket and then a dress. So all these things, all these items I keep wearing on a daily basis. And I keep advocating for that you invest once, but actually, even if it's a special occasion item, it should be worn on rotation as many times as possible. And we actually provide consultations to brides who want to redesign their wedding dresses, who want to upcycle their items. And a couple of years ago, it's been more than 2 years now, we actually offered dedicated space on our website where brides can sell their wedding dresses. So initially we made it for only for our customers, but then we got brides approaching us wanting to sell wedding dresses of other designers, and we just thought, okay, why not? Let's open it to other designers as well. And so yes, we really believe in this circular economy. We try to encourage people rewear items they already have as many times as possible. And if something just sit there in your wardrobe and you think it's not bringing any value to you anymore, why not share it with others? And it's really beneficial for everybody.
I love that. So that goes back to your sustainability. You're wanting to be a sustainable brand. But also, one of the things you talked about is like a wedding gown or a wedding outfit, being able to wear it other times. So as you're talking, I'm thinking you're really creating an emotional connection to the clothing that you wear. If you're wearing the jacket, and by the way, is that the jacket?
No, but I will wear the one.
But the other, oh, that's beautiful. But I imagine when you wear that that jacket that you created for your wedding out to something else, it's got a very special meaning. It's got to really have an impact on how you feel about what you're doing, who you are.
Absolutely.
So you're like creating experiences for people. Was that your intention all along, or is that just a happy coincidence?
I guess that was my intention actually. Like if I'm being honest, looking back, I've never been that person who would invest in clothes a lot of money. To me, that was all about experience. Like I love traveling, and I would rather travel to the country I've never been to, or I'd rather spend my money on experiences than having another pair of dress or trousers. And well, I guess it's like a loop for me because I knew that if I invest in good quality clothes, they would last forever. Well, at least for a couple of years. And I just don't have to spend much time doing shopping. To be honest, I don't really like shopping. I'm not that kind of person.
Get that. It's funny, Natalie, the more you talk, the more I think, well, there's likely a pretty significant age gap. Well, pretty similar. I don't enjoy shopping. I love to travel. I love to spend my money on travel. I have what I call a travel uniform, which is my most comfortable pair of jeans. And depending on the weather, a very comfortable top, or I want to be comfortable. I would like to also look very nice. But the other day I was trying on a new pair of jeans that I had, and my daughter walked in and she said, "Oh my gosh, did you finally get some new clothes?" And it's just, again, to your point, I'd rather spend that going and seeing other places. But with that said, I also want to look nice. I want to feel good in the clothes that I feel. And if there's a special connection, because I've worn this to a wedding, or I've worn this for a grandchild's whatever special event, that reminds me of that every time I put that on.
Yeah.
I love that part of your company is creating this for people. Now, do you create for men also, or is it primarily women that you are designing for?
So when I first launched, I saw the gap in the women's wear. There were a lot of companies creating bespoke, tailored clothes for men. But funny enough, without even advertising it, we have men approaching us, creating beautiful, creative clothes with us for their wedding ceremonies. And we are very inclusive, which I think is also worth pointing out that tailoring is a very traditional business. And sometimes some people might feel like, they are not treated with the same level of, attention. And we try to be as inclusive as possible as a business. And, we really open to create, and we're really open to any creative ideas you might have. Without the judging, we will just help you bring your vision to life. So this is our mission.
Well, I also wanted to congratulate you on being named to the UN Fashion and Lifestyle Network.
Yeah.
What does this recognition mean for you? Yes, that's a big deal. What does that mean to you personally and to your company?
So, well, thank you so much. It's definitely such a milestone for us. I think for us in general as a business, it's a very good recognition that, digital bespoke fashion can be actually a solution to reduce waste in the fashion industry, but also it can also be a nice way to get people dress more sustainably. And this global recognition is definitely helping us to get more connections, to increase awareness, to, participate in various workshops. It's amazing to be connected with like-minded people. And yeah, it's really something that It's a very nice journey that we are embarking on. It's been just a couple of days that we are part of this network, and yeah, it's looking very exciting.
So I want to go back to sustainability for just a minute. How are you measuring your impact on sustainability in fashion?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So, we implemented all these latest technology tools to help us reduce the waste. So, by producing made to order clothes alone or made to measure, we are actually able to reduce waste by 90%.
So how are you measuring that? What are you looking at? Are you looking at like your carbon footprint and how you're not having to transport as much items, how you're using material that is already existing?
Yes, absolutely. So we look into a number of things. The sustainable fabrics that we use. We look into certifications as well. So each year we're trying to, purchase fabrics that are only certified. Fortunately, it's getting better in the industry. A lot of suppliers are getting necessary certifications. We're also looking at the fabrics we purchase that are biodegradable, that are natural, that are, much more that are honestly better choice for the environment, but for people in general as well, because I think nobody wants to wear synthetic fabrics all day long. And this is definitely something that we appreciate when we look into the fabrics that we source for our clients. Then, like I mentioned, we try to localize, decentralize our production as much as we can as well. This is something that we are looking at every single year, trying to be closer to our customers. And yeah, I guess there are so many things that we look at, trying to, make the operations even more responsible. For example, using packaging that is better from the environmental point of view. And like I mentioned, implementing digital fittings instead of sending mock-ups, whatever we can, repurposing the fabrics that are left. So all these small things, but we try to make things better.
So I'm curious, what is the most interesting fabric that you've worked with or that you would like to work with?
Oh, that's a very interesting one. So we have a jacket made of pineapple leaves waste. And every time I pronounce that, everyone got very curious.
Well, I'm thinking pineapple leaves they're not very soft. I imagine there would be some processing that needed to happen to be able to make it something that you could wear.
Yes, absolutely. So there is a whole production process behind it. So we do not produce it. We source it from another company, but this is very curious. So another one is, well, actually, which is what I really like, is that each year you see a lot of new alternatives coming up in the in this fashion world. Like you have mushroom leather, you have apple leather, you have another fabric that is potentially will be able to replace cotton. There are so many research and development happening, and we love testing these materials. So sometimes we collaborate with companies that create these, innovative materials to help them understand if it's really possible to use them in fashion purposes. Sometimes we realize that they are too, tough, or they are not soft enough for particular items. But, it's always interesting to test these solutions. And we are always trying to look if there is anything that is happening in the industry that we can bring to our clients to test as well.
Well, you might just stumble on the next material to make something other than clothing, in your quest to find the newest, most sustainable fabrics. You may find something that maybe doesn't work for a dress, but makes beautiful curtains or drapes for the house or hotels, or very interesting. I wanted to ask something different first. What's been the most unexpected challenge in building this business, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, that's a very interesting question, because I think we faced so many challenges and a lot of them were, both expected and unexpected. I think that when you do something that don't exist, you will definitely face a lot of challenges, and nobody has a solution. So it's really up to you to find the way how to get it done. We have seen it like on every stage of the business, and like we were stuck, honestly, at some point when we see that people have these concerns with the fittings, that just in the mindset, you would normally have at least 2, 3, or even 4 fittings before you get the final product. And this is how the mindset worked for many people willing to try tailoring service. So we had to overcome it. And this is where I think the idea of having these digital fittings in terms of 3D design and AR came into play, just because we had this challenge for some time. And when we saw it, we thought, okay, that probably something that we could look at. Another challenge was when it comes to taking the measurements. Not a lot of people are familiar how to do it properly. So we do that by helping people scheduling the calls, like this one. We do online calls, guiding them. But we also work with an app that would help you to take the measurements, having just your phone in front of you. So this solution is very new. It's still into the development. We're still testing its accuracy, and this is something that we just have to develop and improve every single day. But yeah, this is what happens when you build a startup. You just have to find the solutions.
What's interesting is, as you're talking, what's coming to mind are explorers. Before people explored Antarctica or explored, the far reaches of the world, there was nobody there to tell them how to do it. And I'm sure there were people who said you shouldn't do it because it's not safe, it's risky, right? And so to me, yourself and other people that I talk to that are doing things that haven't been done yet are experiencing that same pushback, those same challenges. So in a manner of speaking, you are a digital explorer, just happen to be in the fashion industry. So I guess what's exciting about that, at least in my opinion, is if it hasn't been done before, there are no rules about it, and you get to write the rule book. But then somebody else can come along and break all the rules, but it has to start somewhere. So I think that's very exciting that you're really sort of the explorer on this route and establishing things so that the people who come behind you have a bit of a guide to at least start from.
Yeah, absolutely. I just really hope that more and more companies stop being afraid of, going this route, just because, we've proved that it's scalable. It could be done. There is no need to be afraid. And I'm really hoping to see more brands doing similar things that we do, to get more people on board, to help, raise awareness that made to order clothes or made to measure items are no longer reserved to a particular group of people, or it's like, it's super expensive, you can't afford it. I really want to change this mindset from turning it into you can afford it. It's one of the sustainable, one of the best way to approach fashion sustainably. And I think this is just what I'm trying to, showcase with dress art, is that there are other ways. Instead of doing, fast fashion, you can just, think out. You can just think a bit differently and make it happen.
I think what's really exciting, again, sitting here listening to you, is you're in the fashion industry, but this really goes for any industry.
Absolutely.
That creating things that are more person specific does help reduce waste, but it does contradict the typical thinking of you have to make a lot of something to make it affordable. So this is going to be very interesting, and I'm excited to be talking to you because I think that you, along with a few others, are really challenging that mass producing and mass consumption, and really you're giving us the ability to be a bit more individual. I love this. I was excited before I talked to you, but now in this conversation, I'm really excited about what this means for, just for, I don't mean to be dramatic, but honestly for evolution, right?
Yeah,
We've
absolutely.
grown in one direction, and you're showing that this other direction is not only sustainable, but you could build a business on it.
Yeah, exactly. But, what's very interesting is that tailoring, this is how people started approaching fashion many, many years ago, right? There is nothing new. Well, at this core, you just need to adapt it to this modern age. And this is what I really loved about it, is that it's very traditional, but at the same time, you try to marry this craftsmanship with new technologies to get something very nice as the product. Yeah.
So looking back on your journey so far, what achievement brings you the most pride?
I think it's actually what we've just talked about, is to prove to myself in the first place that, bespoke digital fashion can exist indeed in this world. It's not just a fantasy. It's not a hobby, that you can do during your free time. This is something that is recognized on a global level. And just to be this example and pioneer when it comes to bespoke digital fashion, this is what makes me truly happy and, proud of what we have achieved. And especially, I'm very grateful for the community that we've built over the years of people who believed that that could be the solution, the alternative. They turned to dress art, especially when they create, these one-of-a-kind items, whether it's their wedding or a special occasion. They didn't shop online from a different place. And I'm really grateful to have this support and to have this belief from everyone who supported dress art from day one, really.
So let's talk a little bit about somebody who influenced you. Is there a mentor or someone who helped shape your vision? And have you had a chance to share with that person the impact they've had on you?
Well, I think that would be definitely my family. I've mentioned multiple times how I learned. So yeah, all these business sides, when it comes to tailoring business as well, this is definitely, I'm forever grateful for all the support that I have, from my family. And yeah, they shaped, well, I think they were the worst critics I've ever, experienced as well. But,
Everybody else might be trying to preserve your feelings. Your family is going to be very honest with you.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think this is where you get, you get the feedback, but you also test if it resonates with you, if it really makes you stop. Because, if you just, I guess you just start to think a bit globally, if I may say so. If relatives or your friends tell you, their honest feedback. You should be able to accept this feedback from customers, from the suppliers you work with. You need to have these arguments why these things should work. And if you manage to find the right arguments in your own head, to make sure that the solution you are building will really work, then that makes so much easier in the end.
Rather than dismissing what they're saying, yes, as possibly being, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It sounds like you really took the feedback that other people gave you and looked at it, but more than looked at it, you really investigated, is this something that would make me move in a different direction or approach something differently? Whereas other people might choose to feel defensive about that, you accepted that as a way to continually get better and look at the way you're doing things. Is that a
Absolutely.
assumption?
Absolutely. I think it's really important as an entrepreneur to get this constructive feedback. But again, you really want to hear from people who have been through this journey, or who have really something to say, because, especially when you're building something new that has never been done before, you will definitely, you should be really careful, because there are so many people, there are so many opinions. Someone who works in the traditional, I would say, fashion company would probably have, absolutely different background. They would have a very different opinion on operations, on how the startup should function. But when you lack this experience, you would probably, do things a bit differently. And this is also such an advantage, I think, to come from different backgrounds and to be able to come with the solutions that have never done before.
So as someone who is shaping the future of sustainable fashion, what excites you most about what's ahead?
That's very interesting. I think I am really excited to see that there are more and more companies move into circular fashion, offering different services like reselling or renting. And it's very easy for anybody now to, start the journey into sustainable fashion. Like the most sustainable fashion anyways, and the most sustainable clothes that exist is the one that you have in your own wardrobe, right? But if you want to buy something new, you don't have to literally buy it. You can rent. And it's an amazing way to explore fashion, to have fun with it. And I'm really excited to have, more and more companies pioneering into this space, offering solutions that, would probably be even better for the environment and society, that we could think about today. So really excited for all these innovations coming.
And 5 years from now, where do you see yourself and where do you see Dress Art?
I would love to be present in more countries, to have our service offered in many languages. And, I would love for more people to experience bespoke service. So definitely increasing our presence across the globe. This is where I would love for Dress Art to be in a couple of years.
So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, somebody's listening to this and they think there might be a place for me with Dress Art, how do they find you?
Of course, online. We have our website. We're also present through social media, Instagram, YouTube. They can reach out to me directly. I have a YouTube channel on my own as well. And
what is your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so it's called The True Self Stylist by Nathalie. I will probably send you the link so you can get it.
Yes, I will put all the links and social media handles you send me in the show notes. So if somebody doesn't remember that, they can go back to the show notes and find that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's do this.
So something new that I am starting is I'd like my current guest to ask my next guest, who you don't know,
Okay.
any question. So if you could ask my next guest any question, what would that be?
Oh, that's interesting. I think as someone who is pioneering in the industry, I would love to ask about the assumption that exists in the industry this person works in and what they would love to challenge and how would they approach this particular assumption.
Thank you for that. And thank you for joining me. This has been such an exciting conversation. I am truly honored that you've joined me, especially I know it's late your time. You are in Dubai and I am in the United States. So thank you for joining me late in your evening and earlier in my day. I really appreciate that. It has been such a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really my pleasure to share our journey and thanks so much for inviting.
My pleasure as well.